Good evening and welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show here on Newsmax TV. Tonight we have a preamble. It's kind of short and to the point. Even left-wing extremists should have the mental capacity to understand tonight's offering. We'll be covering this all week long, by the way. The China threat and American traitors. That's our focus in tonight's preamble. Those who are not recent graduates of left-wing dominated and ineffective government education should know the terms Red Scare and the resulting McCarthyism. The Red Scare was the legitimate concern from free Western powers over the spread of inhuman Soviet communism. During its hellish reign on Earth, Soviet Russia inflicted human suffering and a massive death toll using Stalinist and Marxist theory as their guiding light. In 1993, Zbigniew Brzezinski, the father of Morning Brzezinski on MSNBS and the former national security advisor to Jimmy Carter, wrote that the failed effort to build communism in the 20th century consumed the lives of almost 60 million people. Ironically, that was a conservative estimate coming from one of the most liberal guys who failed to stop Soviet expansion. Took Ronald Reagan and his clear thinking in regard to what totalitarian regimes represent and the threat they posed to implement a strategy to usher in the fall of the Soviet Union. As for McCarthyism, it became a defense for the American left, who either actively or passively supported the Soviets' goal of toppling the United States. It became synonymous with those who saw a communist around every corner. It's kind of like left-wingers see a racist around every corner today. The most high-profile active member of the U.S. government accused of spying for the USSR was Alger Hiss. In the conclusion to one of the most spectacular trials in U.S. history, the former State Department official was convicted of having perjured himself regarding testimony about his involvement in a Soviet spy ring before and during World War II. As it was in the past, look for traitorous left-wingers to try and brand patriots' efforts to ferret them out as an example of modern-day McCarthyism. But when caught, today's China enablers will have had much more blood on their hands. Breaking news today. The Chinese Foreign Ministry is calling for the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is, of course, at the center of controversy over the China virus pandemic's origins, to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, or a Nobel Prize for Medicine, I should say. China appears supremely confident that their allies in America will be able to deflect scrutiny off of this inhuman communist regime, as they've done for the past year and a half. And what looks like a PR stunt from GOP Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. The Republicans appear to be calling for communist China to be held responsible for their role in covering up the virus and its origins. I say this is a stunt because the GOP has no power and is supremely confident that there is no majority among Democrats to investigate their friends, the slave state of China. The GOP seems only to be pushing for China's accountability as a mechanism to earn back the majority in Congress, but leadership has no concrete plans after that to fulfill a promise to the American people to truly bring China to account. And that brings us to an inconvenient truth for Democrat socialists and the few Republicans who are playing this game. Patriots in the Defense Intelligence Agency allegedly have a high-level defector in their custody. Thanks to exclusive reporting started by Red State, independently reported on by former Fox News reporter Adam Housley, and now being picked up by even left-wing sites like the Daily Beast, we are learning that China's Vice Minister of State Security, Dong Jingwei, has allegedly defected to the United States. Now, this guy was one of the top spy chiefs in China, according to sources talking with Red State. He is singing like a canary, but only to the DIA. You see, the patriots at DIA suspect that China has infiltrated the FBI, the CIA, the U.S. State Department. So the DIA didn't want, well, to inform those agencies until this defector was completely debriefed. The U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, for example, didn't even know about the defector when he met with the Communist Chinese at the beginning of the year. Apparently, Xi Jinping wanted the defector back, whoever it is. Blinken had to say that we didn't have him because Blinken didn't know we had anybody. Perhaps Blinken is one of those officials DIA fears was sympathetic toward China. But if reports are true, the defector is providing a treasure trove of information. For example, early pathogenic studies of the virus we know as the China virus. Models of predicted China virus spread and damage to the U.S. and the world. Financial records dealing with which exact organizations and governments funded the research on the China virus and other biological warfare research. Here's a key point. names of U.S. citizens who provide intel to Communist China. Names of Chinese spies working in the U.S. or attending U.S. universities. Financial records showing us businessmen and public officials who've received money from the Chinese government. Details of meetings U.S. government officials had, perhaps unwittingly, with Chinese spies and members of Russia's SVR, that's their Foreign Intelligence Service. How the Chinese government gained access to a CIA communication systems, leading to the death of dozens of Chinese people who were working with the CIA. Now, of particular interest to me is who in the United States is working to aid Communist China. Of course, we know there got to be some of them here. Of course, we have to vet this man's information, whoever he or she is. And of course, those accused deserve their day in court to prove their innocence. But how will patriotic lawmakers drill down and get rid of China's influence in our government agencies and the State Department? I have said that I find Socialist Democrats' behavior during the pandemic to be odd, not wanting to hold China accountable for the deaths of their constituents. Will any of us be surprised that we might learn that the political party that has had Chinese spies as drivers, who have had romantic relationships with Chinese spies, who have defended China's conduct during the pandemic and refused to hold Communist China accountable, they might be on that list of those who have fed China information or maybe on China's payroll? And exactly what is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's role with our communist enemies? These are all questions we all deserve answers to as more information comes out.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.